Welcome to the Calleguas board meeting. And we will have pledge of allegiance.
Everyone place your right hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I understand we have some public, so I'll read,
I think we need to do roll call, please.
oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Director Robert,
That's me.
Director McMillan. Here. Director Avila,
That's me.
Director Waters is absent, Director Quady.
Here, we have.
Great, thank you. That is odd.
Hey, I'll do public comments. I understand we have some public, so this portion of the agenda may be utilized by any member of the public to address the board of directors on any matter within the jurisdiction of the board that does not appear on the agenda and on matters that are on the agenda but are not designated as action items. Depending on the subject matter, board of directors may be unable to respond at this time until the specific topic is placed on the agenda at a future Calleguas board meeting in accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act. Please limit the mark to 3 minutes. Okay, I would do the
So if there's anyone in the room,
audience first.
yeah.
You have a call the name?
No, I don't think you wanted to speak. I think it just was not.
Oh, okay. Any raised hands in the,
There are
Zoom?
no raised hands on the Zoom.
okay, well, then we'll go on to the presentation.
We do not have one tonight.
Okay, no presentation, no items to be added to the agenda, government code. And then we're on to the consent calendar. And to be approved by or accepted by a vote. On all. Is there anything that any of the directors want to step through? Yeah, the main meetings. From April 17th. We have the payment register activities, March 25 through the 2nd. General district election to be consolidated. MKN and Associates, Fairview Well Rehab. And easement deed granting and easement to Southern California Edison, Madero Pump Station Rehab. And we have the Phoenix Civil Engineering. For $268,206. Additional construction support services for the LVMW Calleguas Internet connection. And we have approving the specifications and calling for bids for a security patrol services agreement. Any discussion? Board wants to go?
I'd move to approve. Set calendar.
Second.
Motion's been first and seconded. We'll call vote.
Director Robert,
Aye.
Director McMillan,
Yes.
Director Avila,
Aye.
Director Waters is absent, Director Quady.
Aye. Consent calendar carries. On to the action items. This is the adopt a sponsorship policy, establish a sponsorship committee. Appoint 2 board members to the sponsorship committee.
So
The public can go on this first, right?
maybe I can intro and then we can go for public comment and then or discussion. That's okay.
Mhm.
So in the board packet, there was a proposed sponsorship policy. The goal of this is to improve the transparency of where Calleguas's money is used in sponsorship situations. Only sponsorships, not and above $5,000, not memberships or anything like that. The policy is based on one that the Imperial Irrigation District's actually been using for more than 10 years. And is modeled after some of the transparency requirements that they had in their policies. So the idea here is that if an organization wanted Calleguas to sponsor them to the tune of $5,000 or more in the course of a fiscal year, they would have to produce the required documents, financial documents. The sponsorship committee would review those documents and then either certify or not certify that entity to be sponsored. It would allow me to continue to approve sponsorships below that level. Dan, is there anything you want to add to?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up. I mean, it gives us a good opportunity to review these sponsorships prior to issuing out the money. We'll make sure it's included in the budget. Anything in the budget is gonna be reviewed by the committee.
With that, we can take public comment and we can also then answer board questions.
Okay, let's go out to the
Okay.
public. Comment?
If there's anyone online who would like to comment on this issue, please raise your hand. Or I should say, use the raise hand feature. If you actually raise your hand, we won't see it. There are no raised hands.
Okay, then discussion amongst the board. Anyone?
I'll go ahead and get started. So I think this is no matter how you put it, this is being responsible with our ratepayers' dollars to make sure that they're being used in a responsible manner, and I see no downside.
Thank you.
Agree as well. This is a tool for due diligence on behalf of the board should undertake. So see a downside either.
Do we need to pick committee members in the same motion, I believe?
Yes.
And if so, I'd like to be a volunteer for that committee.
I will.
Go ahead. If you'd like to, go ahead.
You go ahead.
I'll have to volunteer. I just have to cover all the sponsorships at Met.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, then. Definitely.
Well, if you want my spot, Scott.
That's good. Okay, so we will have Director McMillan and Director Avila. Sponsorship committee.
I'll make the motion to approve the sponsorship policy and the slate of committee members, myself and Jackie. Second.
Okay, motion's been first and seconded. Roll call vote.
Director Roberts,
Aye.
Director McMillan,
Yes.
Director Avila,
Aye.
Director Waters is absent, Director Clayton.
Action item carries. Thank you.
We need to designate a chair and a vice chair.
So
I thought we were just gonna have them fight for it.
Actually, I always just roll that into the first committee meeting then.
Okay.
we can alternate and take turns.
I have no burning desire.
Since due to the emission, we should do it in the committee meeting.
The
It
first.
might be worth sending a notice out to groups that we have sponsored in the past to let them know we have this new procedure so that they're aware they need to get their request in early if they want to get payment.
At my count, there were.
Great idea.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it wasn't a long list.
Yeah,
We will work, I'll work with Dan on that.
very good.
Thank you, Steph.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you all. Okay, on to reports, update on strategic plan implementation.
Okay, so tonight, our featured event here is an update on the strategic plan implementation. Now that we're about 4 months into my tenure as a general manager and about 8 months into the new strategic plan, we thought this would be an opportune time to take a look at where we are relative to the strategic plan objectives that were established in the plan that the board adopted last August. We're going to do kind of a comprehensive look. Each department, including Kara, is going to speak to kind of some things that they've done relative to the strategic plan and some things that they are focused on moving forward. So Ian's going to kind of intro us here and then we'll turn it over to the managers and Kara for further discussion.
Great. Make sure the clicker is gonna work. Oh, did you do that? Oh, yeah, good. All right, here we are. Yeah, so I'm gonna go through kind of a timeline and a brief overview. I know most have been around for a lot of this, so I won't spend a ton of time on this, but just because it has been a little while since we talked about it, just kind of orient everyone where we are in the process. So in the spring of 2022, an emergency water conservation program came down from Metropolitan, and our purveyors, we were limiting our purveyors to 1 day a week. The board said this aggression shall not stand. And so we need to do something different. And it's at that point, Steve Blois, who was on the board, then called for a strategic planning session to update the 2013 strategic plan, which it and that workshop happened in the fall of 2022. And coming out of that 2-day Right, Henry, it was a 2-day workshop that Henry and Tony led. Was this what we refer to as the new vision for resilience, which was confirmed after the election and the new board members started in January of 2023. This new vision for how we were going to go about providing more resilience and more water supply reliability to the service area. And then in August 23, prior to that, between winter and the summer, staff got to work on putting the strategic plan together. The board adopted it in 2023. And since then, staff's been hard at work, gave a presentation a few months ago as to what staff has been doing in terms of the team coming up with a series of workshops to get staff to go through. This is really kind of it's not a flow chart, but it provides kind of from a highest level to most granular kind of how things work, right? We had the mission statement, which we left unchanged from 2013 in the strategic plan. Developed a new vision, a new model for resilience. Coming out of that was the strategic plan, of course, and then it goes hand in glove with the policies, positions, and actions that your board takes. And then coming out of those, they end up being implementation plans. So staff looks at how do we take the policies and actions the board takes and turn them into things that actually work. So what we did is at the management team level was we came up with departmental visions, purpose statements, and goals, which I presented to you at the last update. And we're in the midst of translating those into work plans. And those work plans are essentially expressed as the budget. So as you all will be seeing the first version of the budget next month, the budget detail is really how each of these departments and everyone in those departments are going to implement the new vision for resilience. And then, on a month to month, meeting to meeting, day to day, this happens by, board memos, you all approving, which you did in one fell swoop on the consent agenda today, a bunch of marching orders for us. Right? And then day to day, we figure out how those work. So what we're going to do today is most recently, each of the managers have put together kind of what we've been doing for the past year since the strategic plan, the new vision for resilience, and then what we plan on doing for the next year, kind of look back and a look ahead. So each department head is going to get up and talk for a few minutes. And we are going to start with human resources and risk management. And second to move the laptop.
Yeah. Okay. I can handle that.
All right, good evening, everyone. So in the last year, HR has gone from a department of 2 to a party of 5 with the merging of the HR and the Human Resources and Risk Management Department that you guys approved with the reorg. Over that last year, HR has been focusing in on the objectives of the strategic plan that include pursuing workforce excellence and preparing the workforce for the future. So today, I'm just going to highlight our internship program that was developed last year. So in the spring of last year, Christine asked the HR department to start developing an internship program. And that process started with identifying the need for interns, what department would benefit from the extra help, and completing a salary survey to make sure we attracted the right candidates. Impacts to the district were also explored, such as limitations with the labor code and hours restrictions within CalPERS, as well as impacts to finance and payroll and how we would develop a procedure for that. The standard was set early on to recruit college level interns, and that was for a couple of reasons. It was really important to us that the district got a good benefit from that, as well as the students and having that mutually beneficial relationship. And we knew we'd put a lot of effort into recruiting and training. So that effort really needed to be rewarded with a benefit to the district with good skills from the candidates. We set a competitive salary to reflect that and attract those experienced candidates. Secondly, we needed people that had the ability to work during business hours, and that's a challenge with full-time students to do, to get good qualified candidates as well as the work hours that we needed. So our regulatory compliance department was quickly identified to pilot the internship program. So we started by developing a job description, and that template was tailored to meet the regulatory needs of the department, which was a science background. So our first intern started in March of 2024, and he is has a major in biology with a minor in chemistry. And it was a little challenging to find the right person, but we took our time, and I think it's working out. He's been performing field work and lab work under the regulatory compliance department manager or supervisor, as well as partnering up with the lab technician and lab coordinator. So we see a benefit there. We plan on continuing this and going forward. Our plan is to build relationships with local colleges, and we're going to more career fairs, something that we hadn't been doing too actively in the past, but we've started doing going forward. We anticipate interns to be integrated through a process that enables department managers to request intern help on an as-needed basis, and in a way that will allow them to rotate among different departments as well and get experience in different areas. As we go through the process, the interns will gather data and see how things are going and make adjustments as we go. And budget-wise for the year, we plan on budgeting for 2 to 3 interns over the next year, as well as I guess that's all on that. Sorry. We do realize in the end, we may not have a position for the interns, but our goal to really just improve the workforce and prepare students for careers in water will be a benefit to the county overall. So we're proud of that. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Sounds like adaptive intern management.
It's great, it helps us achieve part of our, goal with our purveyors, which is workforce development. So this is good. Thank you.
Excellent. Good evening, Board of Directors. Engineering. So what has engineering been doing over the last year or so? I will start with what we've accomplished over the last 8 months, or just about a year ago now. We've been busy with staff recruitment. We had a retirement of one of our senior project managers, as well as a promotion of one of our senior project managers, who is now standing before you as the manager of engineering. We were able to successfully onboard a new associate project manager and a new senior project manager, which have been introduced to the board shortly after they were hired each time. There was a seamless transition onboarding them that allowed us to have minimal impacts to project schedules. This was due to, I was able to pass on my projects to an associate project manager, and then the retiring senior project manager gave us an advance notice of the plans to retire. That allowed us to hire somebody, get them on board, and overlap their last 2 months or so of employment, and transfer that knowledge and that information over to the new senior project manager. So that was great to see and great to accomplish, and they didn't demand more of my time. So minimal impact on our project schedules in that fashion. So what will be our future focus going forward? Well, looking at our group of team members in the engineering department, we have 4 inspectors. These inspectors are all within a few years of each other's age. So they all basically grew up here working at Calleguas. They are near the age of retirement with full benefits. One of them may even retire as early as 2028. So we also have a consulting electrical inspector that is also of retirement age that works for the district. So a lot of technical knowledge, institutional knowledge in these talented individuals that are likely soon to be calling it a career. So my job is to also plan for that time and be ready to have a succession plan in place so there is minimal impact to our operations. So how will we accomplish that? Well, Want to quickly touch base on something that we're currently doing and we have been doing for several years is cross-training here at the district. O&M has lent some staff to engineering to provide inspection support during times when there's a lot of construction activity. This has allowed us to cross-train some of our O&M staff in construction inspection, which is great. But now I'd like to formally develop a cross-training program for construction inspectors. And this will be a year-long program to have a pool of talented, trained individuals to select from when the time comes when those construction inspectors begin to retire. This program will be an hour to an hour and a half luncheons once or twice a month. Will be taught by construction inspectors and project managers. And the topics we'll cover is basically all the items that are seen and inspected by inspectors on projects, pipelines, stations, electrical work, reservoirs, all of that information will be trained and passed along. Okay. And that's all I have.
Thank you for those.
Right, good evening. You're gonna hear some of the same stuff from me too, staff development, training, things like that. O&M continues to look for opportunities to increase the knowledge of our staff. And that's been our primary focus. So the items I was gonna highlight tonight, and improve resilience and delivering reliable service, and how we're approaching those goals of preparing the workforce of the future while maintaining operational excellence day in and day out. We started a staff development program last fall with the crews. And before this program, the crews and the divisions primarily focused on their individual assignments. So that specialized training was held in each department and not really spread across the groups. So since this has started, we reassigned some of our most experienced distribution and control system staff to work with our system maintenance groups. To teach them the hands-on skills and techniques required to maintain, troubleshoot, and repair the various equipment we have throughout the system. And we're doing that while we're completing our annual maintenance. So we're getting our job done, but also spreading that knowledge around while we're working. It's more of an all hands-on approach and not something that we've done in the past. So the program so far has been very well received. Staff continues to learn a lot about what we're doing. And since we've started, the teams have accomplished preventative maintenance at more than half of our 100 service connections. They've worked on 70 plus altitude control valves. And that is a skill and a technique here at Calleguas that I think we're better than anybody in the county. Clay Valve routinely reaches out to us and asks questions about their own product. We could probably do a lot of their training for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if we had some of our senior staff, when they retire, become consultants in that area. So that's something that we're very proud of. So you can see in some of the photos with the progress and stuff, they're taking apart the valves, the actuators. This does two things. Not only do they get to see the inner workings, but they can repair emergency stuff in the field. And we have done that in the past where we couldn't get a valve to work and guys were able to actually disassemble and put it back together with other parts from a different valve to keep things in service while we order new parts. Welding, fabrication, some of the altitude valves in the upper right. It's a lot of complicated equipment. So let's see.
And they're happy to be doing it.
Loving it. Yeah. So the program overall has been very well received. Nothing but positive comments. System maintenance staff, are being exposed to a lot more information, and they're being able to take that and then use it throughout their day-to-day jobs. And efficiency wise, we're seeing things go up. Crews that are assigned to go do traffic control for our distribution groups. After they get traffic control set up, they're able to then work helping with the valves. And so pieces and parts are being lifted up to the surface. Crews are now working on those valves, bringing those parts back down. It shortens the time that we're in traffic. It shortens the time that we affect that traffic flow. And more importantly, it shortens our exposure time, right? So it's a safety benefit for us as well. But yeah, all in all, it's been phenomenal. So future focus, we're going to continue to look for system improvements, increase communication with our partners, and planning for agility. So as always, we continue to try to be ready for what's next. And looking ahead, with the system improvements, we have evaluating our current system while identifying that equipment that can be updated. It could be replacing or repairing items such as line valves, treatment plant equipment, or site improvements. General, more efficient ways and equipment to do our job so that we can speed those things up. Relationships are always going to be a key for us. The partnerships that we've been working with Met, Dave Preach and his team with the most recent tunnel shutdowns, not only for the improvement project, but then the inspections themselves. We learned a tremendous amount of what it takes now for us to isolate ourselves from Met. And that working relationship is benefited us and will continue in the future. And things like the confined space training facility is another item that is going to allow us to not only help others in the area teach their staff how to do things safely, but it lets us build those relationships that we need in the middle of the night. So when we're called at 2 a.m. to respond to something, and now you have a face. We've been working together. We've trained together. We know who you are. You know who we are. And it's kind of a one water approach. So also the future we got here. Yeah. Okay. So with there's the confined space on the upper left, the board toured that as I mentioned, the line valves, partnerships and things like that. Some of the clay valves in the middle, things, it gives you a scope of our clay valves. We probably have some of the largest ones around, and improvements that we made, like the isolation gated east portal, working with engineering and their team. And then regulations for us will be huge moving forward. So we'll be looking at things like electric vehicle requirements, that will be coming in the very near future, and TNI lab certification, water quality reporting as that changes day by day, are going to be some of the most active things that we're focused on. And all in all, we'll continue to work hard and be ready for whatever challenges come. So
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. 2 people at Aqua asked me about the confined space training facility.
Oh, they did?
Oh.
They're like, oh, we're going to kayak. You guys are friends with them? I'm like,
From a legal perspective?
no, they want to come.
From a it's cool
They
perspective,
might want to come use.
it's cool and useful.
I just want to say, Rob, thank you to all your staff. You guys do great work. You guys literally hit the pavement and do all the backbreaking work. And thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if they can do these valves blindfolded. I mean, they've got so many creative ways of being resourceful. It just sounds amazing. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Administrative support has accomplished several projects over the past 2 years. In August of 2022, post-COVID, plans began to transform the admin building patio into an outdoor meeting space. The space can accommodate up to 12 people at the large table. A smaller space was also provided for those that wanted to work outside, have their lunch, or for a small meeting. There's a large smart TV for click share presentations. Okay, in January of 2023, with the expansion of Calleguas staff, plans began to transform the finance vault into a hoteling space / multipurpose room. This space provides an area for those that mostly work remote, a place to plug in while at the district. The space can accommodate small meetings and has a large smart TV for click share presentations. This room also includes a nice recliner for mothers who need a private space for infant nursing needs. The space was a bit of a soundproofing challenge due to the room is entirely made up of cinder block walls. On both projects, it took collaboration amongst several departments and the janitorial crew. Calleguas was able to accomplish all aspects of these projects using in-house skilled staff. Focusing on the future. With the expansion of Calleguas's workforce, we need to expand and update the workspace environment in the admin building. This is a collaborative effort with general services and engineering. Creating the updated spaces was envisioned as a group effort. Mock-ups of the proposed spaces were presented to staff for their review before plans were finalized. The hoteling space will be instrumental in the transformation of the workspace expansion. Staff will have a space to work while construction begins on the cubicle assembly and carpet installation, which is scheduled to begin in the near future. These priorities and objectives of the strategic plan cultivate an exceptional organizational culture and will prepare the Calleguas workforce of the future.
Thank you, Kara.
That brings us to me. Thank you guys for having us give this presentation tonight. As far as the information technology department, before I go into what we've accomplished and what our future focus is, I wanted to say, looking at a strategic plan as a new manager and coming on board was, how do you wrap your head around what it is and how to go about thinking about it? My analogy that I came up with, how I started thinking about it, is kind of like playing a game of chess. For me, that was a strategic game you play, right? You got to know where you're going to move a piece. That piece that you're going to move, are you moving it in an offensive direction because you want to challenge your opponent, or are you trying to make a defensive standpoint to protect yourself from your opponent? So that's kind of how I looked at this as we have been going through the strategic plan and how to implement it. A couple of accomplishments that we have achieved in the IT department. First, kind of looking on that offensive side, is our IT ticketing system. So we have now implemented a ticketing system that allows all of our staff to be able to submit tickets as simple as sending an email. So now, instead of them having to find us in our office, get us on a phone, or try and track us down, they can send us an email to our help desk at Calleguas email, and it puts it into the ticketing system. With the ticketing system, I can go in and define priorities so that my staff is able to get the higher priority topics done first. And it also gives us the ability to track how long we're spending on some of these tasks and if we're getting repeat offended tickets. So, for having the same people are experiencing the same issues, and we know we have to go look into something deeper. So by doing all of that, it helps meet our strategic goal of delivering a reliable service, because it's helping everybody make sure that they're capable of communicating and doing all their needs with all of their IT stuff. A bonus to that IT ticketing system is it also notifies those people that create the tickets anytime we pick them up and what their statuses are. So we're keeping all of those employees in the loop as we're completing work that they've requested of us. The second part of this was another completion, was more of the defensive side, and that's the cybersecurity policy. Prior to my starting, we had not formally developed a full cybersecurity policy for the district. That has been a very long task that I've been working on, including bringing in a consultant to help us work through the process. And as of right now, we have a policy in draft form that is being reviewed by certain stakeholders of our company. And that policy will meet all of our regulatory compliances now. So anything that the DDW throws at us as far as having to have that policy in hand or anything, we're now going to be fully compliant with that. And it also compiled with an acceptable use policy for all of our employees, so that everybody is on the same page as to what we can and can't do with our devices and with our networks and stuff with the district and going forward. Looking forward in the future, and the same type of a thing, right? The chess game of the offensive and defensive. But one thing that we're taking into account with our moves is also a balancing act, right? And the balancing act is we want to start doing things that will help our cybersecurity policy and start helping our standpoint with the company. But at the same time, we don't want to inconvenience employees so much that it starts causing a lack of production. So multi-factor authentication for Microsoft 365 is one that we're working on doing right now. That will be one of our next ones we're trying to implement. One of the things with the multi-factor with Microsoft is it can have the ability to make users have to multi-factor in an absorbent amount of times. And that is one of that balancing act. So We want to keep that offense going where we're trying to protect ourselves, but we also want our employees to be able to not be overwhelmed. So we made a Microsoft licensing change this year, and we went up in our levels of Microsoft licensing. It allows a bunch of extra security features, which we plan on implementing as well in the future. But one of the better things about it is an item that they call conditional access. And what that does is it allows us to say, hey, if you're at work, your computer recognizes this work domain as its work domain. And when you're here, we don't expect you to have to use MFA. So no longer will they be required to use that here on the property when they're working at their desk, which will increase the efficiency. But if they leave the property, if they're working remotely, then it will require all of that to take place, which will help keep us protected, which is what the intent of enabling multi-factor was all about. And then the last thing we're going to be also working through is the utilization of BitLocker for all of our district workstations. BitLocker is Microsoft's encryption technology that they use on hard drives on your actual laptops. So while all of our servers, hard drives are encrypted right now, all of our local workstations are not. It was one of the things that I have spoken to you guys about in the past. It was identified in a risk assessment as far as data at rest. Data at rest is your hard drive on your laptop sitting there on the desk. If somebody were to steal that hard drive out of that computer, that bypasses all of our MFA that we had in place to protect it. They could access that hard drive. If that hard drive wasn't encrypted, they would be able to see everything that was on the hard drive. So this encryption technology takes care of that. But similar to MFA, it requires users to key in an encryption key to keep unlocking the drive for use on that machine. And so that's one of the challenges that we're looking to make sure when we implement this, that again, we don't overwhelm everybody with having to have access to a 64-digit key or some crazy item just to be able to use their laptop every time they go to log into their laptop. But we'll keep us protected on that too. And that goes towards our strategic plan of improving our resilience by enhancing our cybersecurity. That's what I have for you guys.
Thank you.
Good evening, directors. So for the Water Resources Department, I wanted to highlight the accomplishment of establishing the Turnkey Turf Transformation Program. So this was one that I presented in detail at a board meeting last month in the context of an agreement, a partner agreement. But this program is really great because it hits on a number of different strategic plan objectives. It is the program that will provide a turnkey turf project for property owners to remove non-functional turf and put in water efficient landscaping at no cost to the property owner. And also at no cost to the project partners because we were able to get this program funded by an $8.5 million grant. So that accomplishes the mission in a cost-effective manner. This program does have a disadvantaged community focus, which again is very important to us to make sure that there's equity across our service area and that everybody can participate in programs that we offer. And this is an innovative program in that it is increasing a partnership and collaboration that, to my knowledge, we've never done before as a district. This is a partnership, again, with Inland Empire Utilities Agency, Los Virgenes Municipal Water District, and Upper San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District, all of whom are metropolitan member agencies within the State Water Project dependent area. But this is the first time we've all worked together on something outside of the context of a MET program. And I think this opens the door to other really interesting and collaborations in the future that we can do with other member agencies. So focusing on the future, the Resources Department is taking the lead on redesigning and relaunching the Calleguas website. And this is specifically under the objective to elevate the district's profile and effectiveness through impactful communications. Our website is often the first place that people encounter Calleguas and the first place they'll go to get information. And so we really want to present a modern and user-friendly and accessible website for the public to use to effectively communicate information about our water services. And as we move forward with the water resources implementation strategy, this will be a great tool, again, for stakeholders, public engagement, and so on. So the new website is being designed to comply or exceed current industry regulations and standards, specifically with accessibility and government transparency. So stay tuned. We should have something to present to you soon, and very excited about this. We're kind of in the, well, we're working on this, and we're hoping to get this launched by the fall.
Just a question, will you get input from the board members and also customers?
We're kind of working with a consultant who has worked with a lot of different water districts in the past. So we're doing a format that is kind of consistent with the way, you know, the most modern websites are being set up so that people can be familiar with how to find the information. So we are working internally in terms of the design, and, you know, we've been working with each department on the aspects of the website that are under their purview, kind of what they want to present, how they want to present it. But yes, we can definitely bring a draft to the board for your review.
Thank you.
I do have one question. So with all the great work that staff does with finding, you know, rebates and ways for our customers to save money and all that, you know, if it's difficult to find and follow the information or the process, then less people will take advantage. And I'm sure we do a great job already, but for the new website, you know, maybe there could be an area where it says, how can I save money? And, or, you know, how can I participate in these programs, or just something that's right there, just because if it's more than, you know, 2-3 clicks away, people statistically get lost and, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And then, so no, I think it's great though.
Yes.
Our website is our face really for most people. So that's very exciting.
Absolutely. And I fully agree with you. We can definitely make that information more accessible, easy to get to. And also sharing our resources, like we have a class that we offer periodically on how to go through the rebate process from the very start. So making sure that that's all very clear on the website, folks can sign up directly through the website. Yeah, that's all part of the design.
Also, to go with that, just awareness in general. I walk around my neighborhood, actually just was a couple days ago. There was a couple houses that had their lawns, you know, redone with California native friendly landscaping. I said, oh, did you know, take advantage of the rebates? And they said, oh, what rebates? Like, you know, people just don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody else, I ran into somebody somewhere, and, you know, we started talking and they said, oh, you know, there's rebates. How do we get the rebates? Where do we go to get the rebate? Things like that. And this person mentioned that, you know, redoing their lawn, their HOA had told them that they have to keep green grass. Like they can't switch to anything else. And that sounded incorrect to me. So
You're right. That is incorrect.
What I'm hearing is there a way that post consultant redesign, is there any kind of 30,000 foot look at that might be shown through?
Oh, it could certainly agendize kind of, if the board wants to see kind of the working draft.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Short pieces.
It's looking really great.
Good.
It's really a vast improvement over what we currently have. So we'll agendize that for the future. So the board is clearly an issue the board has a great deal of interest in. So we'll be sure to bring it back so the board can kind of dig in more deeply and take a look at what we're doing before it goes fully live.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Good evening, directors. I'm happy to present on Calleguas's newest department, External Affairs. We don't have a whole year to go back and reference, but happy to go back to the implementation of the strategic plan. We are a department of 2. Maya Holcomb is my outstanding management analyst, and I'm going to highlight our increased legislature interaction as an example of providing regional leadership with advocacy as part of a strategic plan. So since August, we have hosted 8 legislative offices at Calleguas. We provide a facilities tour to these legislators and their staff. We provide a briefing with either some of you and or Calleguas staff. And I can't stress enough that it's really a multi-departmental effort to put our best foot forward when our elected officials come to visit. It's not just external affairs. It's lots of other folks helping out to make it a really great day. And we've had lots of good feedback from folks who come to visit us. Examples of folks who've come, as you, I think, know, Assemblymember Irwin came last month, along with Supervisor Carvin. We've had Governor and Lieutenant Governor staff members visit us, along with others. We think it's important when folks visit to have consistent messaging. So we generally provide an overview of Calleguas, who we are, what we do. Some folks are familiar with us, some aren't. We talk about the strategic plan, of course, and our new model for resilience. And we talk a lot about the risk process because that is so collaborative with our regional partners, and legislators like to hear about regional collaboration. It's certainly true in our instance. As part of our increased legislator interaction, we've traveled to Washington, D.C., Sacramento a couple of times. Excuse me, last month, Director McMillan joined us in Sacramento for the Aqua event, where we had some really great meetings with legislators. And next year, hoping to see one or more of you in DC for the Aqua DC trip, which the Deputy General Manager and I scoped out this year and think it's a really valuable trip. And next week, California Special Districts Association with Director McMillan and Maya as well. We'll also have some opportunities to interact with legislators. As far as our future focus goes, we will be continuing our legislative advocacy. We also, as a two-pronged department of being the public information officer, as well as the legislative advocate, so to speak, we want to elevate the district profile and effectiveness through impactful communications. So the first prong in terms of legislative advocacy, we will continue hosting legislators here. We will also continue one-on-one meetings, association involvement, such as Aqua, CSDA, and other means. And we will continue to promote media coverage of Calleguas through press releases of district news, attendance at community events, and direct outreach to journalists. So as an example of those two worlds kind of coming together in a very happy way is our Friday event with Assemblymember Steve Bennett as our keynote speaker to celebrate the grants that Calleguas was able to secure and will be administering on behalf of 6 community partners in the region. And we have invited lots of media and hope to get good attendance there. So we will continue our twofold approach, and thank you for your support of external affairs. Any questions?
Well, thank you very much for your quick work.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Very.
The water bottles that were being raffled off at the Star Wars event?
The water bottles?
I thought there were water bottles being raffled off at
We
the.
did raffle off a couple of Calleguas water bottles.
It's the new design.
That's not nice ball.
That's right.
They might be able to get you one, Walt.
Folks were more interested in the Star Wars items that we had though.
Great work.
Thank you.
All right, well, we're on to finance. So the funny thing about the finance and strategic plan is that we have one item in the strategic plan that's really the cost effective, getting to the mission of running it cost effectively, but finance touches really all aspects of the finance of the strategic plan. But looking at one of the accomplishments that we were able to do was really the new debt financing that we've set up for this year. It was something that was going to be happening as we get into some of these additional projects, these bigger projects. One came up, gave us a good opportunity, and we also set the rates to kind of get us going forward on this debt at this time. With the drought hitting us, it was time for us to go in a different direction and start borrowing money. So we set up a new loan for $20 million. We did set it up with the opportunity to at least increase it to $40 million. With board approval, we have to come back to the board for it, but still, it gives us an opportunity to increase it with some additional projects. We built in there that we're going to build the crew room with this money, and I don't think the $20 million is going to necessarily cover the whole cost of it. So we can increase it for that, and we can also add other projects to it. So this was a big step for Calleguas. It's been since 2010, which is before my time. So we've done new debt financing. And it's getting us started in an area that is probably going to be needed in the future as we start going through the strategic plan and finding new projects that we're going to want to take on as a district. Kind of looking forward focus, rates and long-term finance planning. I mean, that is the crux of what's in the strategic plan for finance. This is like a really long-term, never-ending vision because this is always going to be ongoing. One of the main things is to maintain the reasonable rates. And I'm putting there for Calleguas because we can only really do what we can control. So we're going to try to maintain our portion of the rates to make sure that we are providing a reasonable rate for our customers and maintaining the cost where we can see and do it. We're always building to the future, so we want to make sure that we rebuild our reserves. With this last drought, we did have to draw down on our reserves. So it's important for us to build them back up so that if there is another drought or another emergency that arises, we do have the reserves available to us to address it at that time in a quick and efficient manner. The other thing that this long-term finance plan that we're working on is to build our debt service coverage. That's the one main thing that the bond agencies are looking for, the rating agencies are looking for. What's our debt service coverage and how much cash do we have on hand? How healthy are we looking? And so the long-range finance plan that we're developing helps build the debt service coverage so that we can continue going out, getting great rates, maintain this great bond rating that we have. And the last thing that we're going to be doing is we're building into this long-range finance plan is preparing for the changes that are going to come with this new strategic plan. All these things that these other departments are talking about all flow in through finance and this long-range finance plan. And we got to be ready for the new programs, new positions like interns, and growing in O&M as we take on new responsibilities, regulations, infrastructure that's coming in, and develop them and develop the rates and the long-range finance plan to go with it. So that's what finance is working on. Nothing really new, but it is something very important for the district at this point.
Yeah.
Very good.
Turn it over to Hannah.
Thank you, Jim.
You picked a picture with your face in there.
I did. Thank you for noticing. And good evening, board. So strategic engagement. These are the people that I work with, but they aren't the people that formally work for me. And so part of my job as your executive strategist is to help align what they want to do into a path that serves the district and serves our customers. And so as Director McMillan has pointed out, you see right there in the upper left-hand corner, there I am. This was not Photoshop. This is an actual Zoom. And we have finance staff. We have Met's general manager and their chief operations and another assistant general manager, Shane Chapman. And the folks there sitting at the desk looking kind of lonely with their laptops is the assistant general manager, Katano Kassane, the finance manager, and then the manager of budgets. And if you'll look down there, you'll see that it's February 28th. This is shortly after Metropolitan adopted their proposed budget on the day before Valentine's Day. A little extra sweetener for that month. And the proposed budget was something that would have impacted Calleguas tremendously. And so part of what strategic engagement involves is the ability to affect those things that, as Dan said, we can only do what we can control. And so my remit is to kind of expand what it is that we can influence to the benefit of the district. So what is that area? In 2023, 2024, it was all about reliability. It was all about taking the board's vision for a new model for resilience and really putting that into action. And that has involved two parts. as you see in this little graphic from that new model for resilience. On the top, we have just kind of like, we take whatever Metropolitan gives us in terms of reliability. And in 2022, we found that that was insufficient. And we articulated a new vision for the board in which Calleguas was going to relate to Met, but was also going to relate to other Met member agencies. It's going to relate to our retail agencies in a new way and regionally. And my particular focus is in the Met arena. And you'll be hearing next from our general manager and deputy general manager about that regional emphasis. We are not going to hear about that today, maybe at a future date. It's important to be adaptable in this position. So that call to action in 2023 required almost weekly meetings, multiple weekly meetings with Metropolitan staff, with directors, and it resulted in the August call to action in which Metropolitan adopted a resolution committing to equitable water supply reality. Reality. We can only hope. Making reliability a reality for us. And in 2024, with this last budget, they actually established in the Metropolitan Capital Improvement Program a new budget area for addressing our needs and a set of projects, portfolio projects that, as your board heard in the report from Metropolitan, essentially gives us the reliability that we lacked in 2022. Looking ahead, now we're looking at financial sustainability. Metropolitan is embarked upon doing a new business model. They also are looking at their climate adaptation master plan. But probably most foremost on our mind is trying to get an equitable treatment surcharge. And what we were able to do going into the budget was really frame up that issue in a way that allows us to move into the rest of this year and the coming year in a way to really affect change. So you've heard other departments, we deal with many complicated areas here at Metropolitan. Every manager here is dealing with something that is very complicated. And there's an extra layer of complication when you are dealing with other agencies in which there's a level of complexity. And what that complexity is that we're dealing at different scales that are interacting between each other. So I thought I would just briefly talk about like what it is, how it is that I do what I do. And you probably all immediately recognize the winter sport of curling.
I have never seen curling involved in a presentation.
That's the greatest.
Well, see, I successfully predicted that Wes would take the chess metaphor. And I felt fairly confident going into this that no one would grab the curling metaphor.
I would have guessed right. I would have bet money.
Yeah. But curling is essentially.
Only goes down the ice. So is that what you're suggesting? That is your.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of the new slope.
Well, for those of you that are less familiar with curling, it involves taking an approximately 40-pound stone that you see with that yellow handle, and the person that throws it down the ice throws it towards a target. It slowly rotates, usually counterclockwise, which gives it a curving or curling path, hence the name. But then as it goes down the ice, there are two people that operate brooms. And what they do is they are able to use the broom to either increase or decrease the friction as the stone goes down the ice. And they're trying to move it to that target, but they can't touch it. Aren't allowed to touch the stone. And so I am the Calleguas team member with the broom, right? You all set the strategic direction. I get out there and watch your strategic direction go down the ice and try to guide it to that target. It's the approach that I take is a systems approach. You're well aware that your board sits between the Calleguas board and some 19 retail customers that we have. The Metropolitan Board is kind of nested in with the state water project, as well as the Colorado River Aqueduct and the basin states involved with that. So these are what I like to refer to as entangled nested systems. And what happens on the state project is going to affect Metropolitan. What affects Metropolitan, it's going to affect Calleguas. What affects Calleguas is going to affect all of our retail agencies. And similarly, retail agencies and their aspirations and how they interact dynamically affect Calleguas and Metropolitan. So trying to find a way to effectively operate and affect those systems really requires a sort of a dynamic adaptive policy path, which is actually like a term of art. You can Google DAPP. You'll find people that have adjusted and talked about these. And it really amounts to looking a little deeper into the future, kind of a deep foresight, and then understanding the pathways that take us back to where we are right now. And then really framing and shaping our interactions with other people so that we can try to find that path that's going to take us to our target. So essentially, a lot of work that I do is to look at contingencies and framing and shaping so that I can facilitate that future pathway that's going to guide Stone to the target. We don't always hit the target, I have to tell you. So part of it is also being able to take the ball or the stone, wherever it lands, and then move forward from there. And that requires a set of forward-looking contingencies so that if we succeed in one area, that's good. We go down a different network of pathways. If we only get partial success, we still are working toward a future that will help facilitate value for our customers. So that, I think that sufficiently acquaints you with curling. And its aspect, just a note for those of you, the brooms that these sweepers are using show that this was prior to 2016, when the Broomgate controversy in the world, where technological advances in the way brooms were being made were giving teams unfair advantages. So they had to standardize the brooms. Calleguas is fortunate. They haven't standardized the way in which we can strategically affect Met, and so we still have that advantage. Happy to answer any questions.
And so if you bump into another one, then you can try again too.
Yeah.
I will tell
Henry, if
you-
I can chime in, as the only Canadian-born staff member, I really appreciate tonight's sports analogy.
Thank you, Grant.
Thank you, Grant.
I was going to start off with applause because that was amazing, Henry, but they beat me to it. Now just doesn't kind of fit, but thank you.
And I will tell you, it's very helpful. Management has a planning session with me before every board meeting. And unfortunately, the board packets come out late in the week prior to the board. And they're anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 pages, and Henry pushed through all that stuff. And we go through and discuss, what's important to Calleguas, what do we need to do to make our point. And so it's been very helpful in getting information from staff. And then also these ad hoc committees and things like I sit on, I give them information. I can't share everything with you because some of it's confidential, but staff has told me that it's been extremely helpful for them too. So I know that was your concern about the last board member that we had, is that we felt that there wasn't enough communication going on. So I just wanted to assure you it's very much going on.
Thank you.
a bunch of team sport.
It is.
And appreciate it.
Don't bring brooms to the meetings.
Or large stones.
Yes. Well, moving on.
Sure, will I advance this?
Go ahead and advance it.
My picture.
So that concludes the strategic plan implementation presentation for this evening. As first, I want to thank all the managers for all their hard work, not just in preparing the presentation, but in doing all the hard work they're documenting in the presentation. I think it's really a remarkable accomplishments that have been made just in less than a year. In implementing our new model for resilience and focusing on some issue areas that weren't always at top of mind. I think the workforce and succession planning ones, I think, will particularly stand out. As Henry indicated, there is a second part to this presentation about the wrist that we're not going to do tonight because we still have a lot of agenda to get to, including a closed session. But Ian and I will be bringing that to the board at an upcoming board meeting. And we'll focus on that aspect.
I just want to say thank you for a fantastic presentation from all of you. Every time I usually write down questions so I can ask them later in a less interruptive manner. But every time I had a question, I waited about 3 seconds, then you answered it. So really, really informative presentations that were pointed. Thank you.
And what I want to thank you all for is that I think what I'm seeing is some synergies that are becoming more prominent to me. And your teamwork, I hope it's working out that way too, that linkage brings off what I think I'm seeing is the synergies between your departments, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Can't think of a much higher compliment, to be honest. That was great. Thank you, Director Grady.
Okay. That month staff report. Step forward, you want to step through it? Starting with the wrist. Water policy and strategy. External affairs. Okay, water resources. Congratulations, Jennifer. Water resource specialist. Recognizes the 2023 emerging leader.
You did great.
Use efficiency and conservation. That's water resource development.
I want to go back to, sorry, I just, had it noted down here. Oh, so number 26 for the events. Thank you to everyone who went out there to the street fair. It's great that we get out in the community, let them know what's going on here in the district and how we're improving the district and, trying to save costs and helping everyone out. It's really important to get out there. So thank you all who were there. Thank you.
I want to thank Charlotte for organizing that and putting the Star Wars spin on the event, which I can only imagine was a major draw to our booth, as well as all the other staff members who supported that day. Many of whom don't traditionally work in that role, but were willing to step in when we needed some assistance.
Source development. Yeah, we already did that. Engineering. Supervisor Gorell steps in, huh? How's what to do? Okay, good.
The feedback we've gotten on the new banners has been very, very favorable.
Wonderful.
Everybody loves them.
Question on 50 here. Just, I'm hung up on the wording a little bit. For locating the precise extents of pipeline encasements. So does that mean to find or to assess condition?
Go ahead.
Yes. So we are trying to identify tools, technologies that will allow us to identify the extent of a concrete encasement on a pipeline, but we have to identify that extent from the inside of a pipeline so we can go back and rehab, strengthen the pipeline at those transition locations. Right now, we are we built the confined space entry training and rescue facility for staff training as well as to test these tools so we can confidently implement these rehab projects into locations that they need to be rehabbed. So we are still looking for technologies that will allow us to identify concrete encasements from the inside of a pipeline.
Okay, so the extent just means how, okay.
Exactly where it ends.
Very
The
cool.
record drawings give us some idea, but they're not precise enough for us to make decisions on.
See, thank you. Studies and planning. Some funding opportunities.
Oh, I just had a question on 55. Where is Wood Ranch Dam? Is that at Bard?
That's our dam here.
Okay, this is Bard. Okay.
Operations and maintenance. Miscellaneous operations. Human resources and risk management. The New American funding thing sounds interesting.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, we're pretty excited about that.
that's really cool. Like I heard of Ventura County, I talk about that. Sounds like that would be kind of an answer if employers could do that.
Well, it's gaining popularity. We looked at New American, who first approached us. We looked at Citi and Wells Fargo and Chase, who all have, they call it corporate mortgage benefit programs. And they're all cost-free and they have varying levels of benefit. We found that New American had the highest level, and we've submitted to them that we're okay and we're willing to sign up and go on board, and they're checking out that we're a legitimate organization, which obviously is not going to be a problem. So it should be up and running sometime later this week or next week.
78, there's 35 years of service for somebody.
That'd be
Small.
Yep. Pepe Cervantes. And we had a special guest. Rob arranged for Eric Berg to make a special appearance.
Oh my gosh.
Surprise. I thought Pepe was he was about as red as this carpet. It's pretty awesome. It was a really special service award. It really was.
Yeah, it was. And Eric should do stand-up, I think.
I want to encourage him.
Thank you. Risk management. Interested to see how that insurance consultant does.
Yeah, I just have a kind of unfounded but continually bothersome idea that we're somehow undercovered. I just want to make sure that we have adequate.
Yeah, and the insurance consultant is Greg Johnson, who we've used for years. He's stepped back and he's working less to focus on his grandfathering duties, but he's willing to still consult for us. He's got fantastic expertise.
He does. He did something like this about 15 years ago for us as well. So he should be able to finish his task very quickly.
Kind of nice to have an outside set of eyes there.
It really is. And we've been unable to find someone who kind of fills that niche since he decided to step back.
Especially because those coverages, they're constantly changing them. They're constantly manipulating what's in the endorsements for the coverages to try to get out from under. So to have those outside eyes on the cutting edge of the industry who knows how that all works is definitely a benefit.
The response coordinator is busy.
I didn't hear that.
Okay. Finance, information technology.
Sorry.
That's good.
Oh.
Okay. That, all the questions and, that does it with the status report, general manager's report.
I will keep it very brief. Obviously I had a very productive week at Aqua last week, with many of you. And other than that, I went to a bunch of MET meetings, which is pretty much the case all the time, doing Camp for Water Task Force. As well as there were some informal ones at Aqua that were particularly productive. So I think that'll do it for my update.
Very good, thank you. Financial report. And
Okay. Good evening, Director. So got a few items here tonight. First one we have is the financial statements for the month of March. Kind of looking at it through the month of, this is the March one. I'm gonna have the water use and sales for April in just a little bit, but for March, we are still short on water sales. It's gonna be the same story for April. But overall for our water revenues, we are almost $2 million short with the cost of water against the water revenues. The majority of that is in the construction side, but we are still about $800,000 short on the operating side. Fortunately for us, when we get to the next slide, you can see that we have plenty of savings right now on the administrative side, administrative expenses to cover that shortfall. It doesn't help really the construction side. We're not funding the construction as much as we would have liked to. That's what happens when we get short water sales. But along with that, we're also getting plenty of extra revenue in the interest income area because interest rates have increased and it has really helped us offset the loss in the water revenue at this point. Especially that is making up on the construction side too, because we are getting most of the money is the cash is sitting in construction. So overall, we're just still doing okay on the financial side. We're making up the lost in water revenues by savings in administrative expenses, as well as additional revenues in interest income. Principal and interest is right where we expect it to be, even with the revenue or the variable rate bond, where we've planned for an increase in the interest rates on the revenue bond, variable rate bond. And so we are doing just fine on that one. Looking for the month of March, overall, we expected to have a loss for the month. You can see that we budgeted a $1.2 million loss. We're at pretty close to that. We're at 1.1. So we are kind of expecting that in this month, that the revenues were not going to be coming in. Overall, still, the financial statements were looking good. Looking at the cash and investments for the month of March, from February to March, it remained just about equal. We didn't really spend any additional cash going out. We had a little bit less going out on the construction fund in that month, which helped offset some of that decrease in revenues that were coming in from the water sales. Looking at the ratios, because of that decrease that we saw for the month of March, you can see that the current ratio decreased because the liabilities had gone up. The quick ratio also decreased. So all of these are decreasing because of the extra expenses that we were having and then accrued liabilities. The debt ratio never changes until we make a payment in July. The debt service coverage then also decreased because we had a loss, but the 1.71 is still a very good debt ratio for this point in the year. We should be budgeting around 1.26. So the fact that we're 1.71 means we're way above where we expected to be. And at the end of the year, we had budgeted to be 1.76, and I do expect us to be even higher than that at this point. And the times interest earned, we're still on a very healthy 4.26 amount of money we have set aside to be able to pay for our interest expense. With that, that's all I have for the financial statements. Unless there's some additional questions.
Any questions?
Just glad our investments are continue to do well.
They are continuing to do well. Fortunately, the interest rates have definitely helped.
Yeah.
Helped us.
We're not talking about the Chandler report yet, right?
No, we're going to talk about the Chandler report next.
Okay, very good. Great, thanks. Go on. Thank you.
Okay. Let's stop sharing this one. So the next item we have is the quarterly investment report, where Chandler comes out and gives us a report that's a little bit different than what I report to the board, but it gives you the same type of information. Overall, we are doing really good with our investments. The interest rates have increased. We're continuing to increase with the duration of our investments. We're starting to increase it as we're grabbing some of these higher interest rates. We're holding on to them for a longer period of time. We're trying to get 3-year maturities, 4-year maturities instead of these really short 1 to 2 years. That'll help us maintain those long interest rates for a longer period of time. I know Fed's always said that the interest rates were supposed to be dropping at one point, which is one reason we were trying to go a little longer. Now I'm not so sure it's going to be happening. I was going to have Chandler out here to talk, but I'm going to do that at the next quarterly investment report, and they'll give you more of a breakdown of what's happening in the investment industry and what they see as far as the upcoming Fed rate policies. That's all I have, unless there's some additional questions.
I had a question, and I kind of hinted to you this earlier, having to do with the report. It had the total, or the average market yield several times in the report. And so I just want to know how they were different or why they kept repeating, except for the one, which is clearly a representation of minus fee.
Yeah, so there's several different ways to calculate the interest and the average interest rates on these portfolios. Each one has a little bit of a different twist to it. There is the one where they take out the fees so they can give us our true interest rate that we're earning less the fees. There's the market rate, because there's a rate that's actually on the bond itself, which would be the market rate. But then when we purchase it, we also purchase interest. We do premiums on them because of the fact that the interest rate on the bond is different than what is actually out there in the market. So because of that fair market value, we pay a premium and a discount, and that adjusts that additional interest rate. So there's like 3 or 4 of them that they're kind of listing on there. And I can't remember which one I picked to use as I think it's like the market value one. So what they're actually paying us as far as interest. So whatever interest is actually on the bond is what we collect in interest when it comes due.
So for example, I have portfolio characteristics on page 80. That's the last time in the packet. So I think that's page 127. And then it was page 91. I think on this packet, it's page 138. So it just 4.62% just sounds like it's just happens to be the same, even though they might start different.
Right at the end of March, the fair market value and the cost basis was practically the same. So there wasn't much of a difference between the two. And that fluctuates on a monthly basis. When we come to April, you're going to see that there was actually a decline in our fair market value of almost $1 million. So that's why I kind of tell you also when we're looking at the financial statements that gain and loss on our investments, it just goes up and down constantly based on what the market's doing. I can even tell you like our variable rate interest rate has gone from like a 3%. It went down to 2.5 and now it's up to 3.2. And that's in a 2-week time period. So it fluctuates constantly and it just kind of, where does it stop at the end of the month? And so that can make a difference on those interest rates. Why they're exactly the same is because those two ended up being exactly the same during that month.
I guess what I'm trying to learn is the terminology that they use. So, because I understand.
I can put something together to kind of explain it. Maybe I'll put a slide up for the next time.
I said the confusing thing was portfolio characteristics and then we'll consolidate. That
so
specifically.
A consolidated one actually too is there's what Chandler actually handles. And then the consolidated one, we actually have them add in the LAIF and what we used to have in Ventura County Pool. It's added in there.
Yeah.
So that's the consolidated, that's everything together.
All right.
So when they talk about also the percentages of where they can invest, it's not just based on what they have, it also takes into account LAIF, because that switches the percentages a little bit. So if they wanted to invest more in some of the other securities, corporates.
But that was the delta I was looking for. Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Thanks, Dan. On to water use and sales.
Yes.
Quarterly capital budget report.
We're gonna do the
Water sales.
water use and sales first, right?
Yes.
Change.
All right, so water use and sales for the month of April. So looking at the month of April, again, it was a rainy month of April, so we had lower water sales. We sold just 4,090 acre feet, and we had a budget of 5,660. So again, we were short by almost 1,600 acre feet, which means we're falling further and further behind. We are now getting close to 6,500 acre feet behind what we had budgeted for the year. we're still on pace for about 65,000, 66,000, somewhere in between there, for the year. So May's been a lot drier. So hopefully in the next month, we'll start making up some of those water sales. We'll see how it goes. People's lawns greened up. Maybe they'll start using their sprinklers a little more, trying to keep the lawn green as it heats up. You can see the budgeted water sales, were way below what we had budgeted for the last 4 months for sure. It's been very tough. I was doing really good in the first 6 months. And then the rain came. I mean, I just didn't really think it was gonna be raining like this 2 years in a row. And my weeds show me where I'm at. Looking at the Metropolitan water bill, total water sales, $5.1 million for the month of April. We barely put anything in storage. We put a little bit into the Lake Bard, I think, and that could have been more of the rainfall than it was anything else, it just increased. Giving us to our reconciliation adjustment of 88,000 to get us to the total water purchased of 5.235. We did have a lot of LRP funds again coming, so Camarillo and Camarosa did get some LRP funds back from Metropolitan. We're gonna be passing that on. Conservation program costs, we had a little bit of conservation that we had to pay Metropolitan. And then we put another $11,000 pay them for the turf replacement program to get to the total bill of $6 million. That's gonna be going off to Met. Looking at the SMP, it continues to be below what we had expected. Camarillo and Camarosa continue to not get what we had originally anticipated. They're both below what they've done. Camarosa is down below what they've done historically, and we're still trying to figure out what Camarillo is doing. So, again, I've heard that because of the rainfall, they haven't needed the production, so it's really hard to operate these plants when they don't need the water at this point. But overall for the year, we budgeted almost 1,090. We're at a little over 600 acre feet. Power generation, it continues to be low as well, and this is for the month of February. It's back a couple months. We did $473. We're still continuing to pay some penalties on Santa Rosa on a monthly basis because the flow's not there. We're not generating enough electricity through that one. And East Portal's been down. They're just the flows were not there this month in order to be able to generate the revenues. Hopefully that starts picking up in the next few months so that we can make up for it. Overall, we're at $414,000. We didn't budget that much, so we're still looking good as far as revenues for power generation. To kind of show you where we are with all of our revenues, potable water sales for the month of April total was $7 million, bringing our year-to-date total of $87.2 million. That gets it 71%. You can see we're about 10% behind where we thought we'd be at this point. But overall, we have the savings and the extra revenue elsewhere to make up for that decline. Recycled water continues also to be low because of the same reasons the water sales. It's raining so much, nobody really needed additional water for recycled water. The SMPs continues to be low as well, as I've just discussed, and power generation's hopefully going to pick up soon. It's on now. So we are making money on East Portal. Looking at cash and investments, you can see overall For the month of April, we actually increased by a little over $2 million. I wish I could say that was because we had additional water sales that made up for it, but actually it's because we received a good chunk from DWR from a grant. We got a lot of money. This portion was ours. The other part went back out to all the other agencies. They also worked on it. So we were kind of the conduit between us and everybody else. But still, we got $2.2 million, which really does help our cash flow situation. Okay, that's all I have on water use and sales.
Deanne, any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, one more item. Last item. Every quarter, we bring to you the capital projects report to kind of give you a quick snapshot of where we are with all the capital projects, the budget, what phase they're in, and when we expect that phase to be done, and kind of when we're going to be asking for additional funds to go to the next phase. So this is just something for the board to take a look at and let us know if you have any questions. Carrying up, I think I'm done.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. On the change order summaries.
Good evening, Board of Directors. So for the first quarter of 2024, we had change orders on the LV interconnection project, as well as the Todd Pump Station Rehabilitation Project. Did not have any change orders for the Lake Sherwood Pump Station Rehab Project. And a detailed summary of those change orders was provided in the agenda packet. And I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Well, any questions? Well, that's how well written it is, Fernando.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, General Counsel report.
Yeah, I attended the Aqua Conference, was happy to see a lot of you up there. I attended the Legal Affairs Committee meeting as Calleguas's appointed representative. Typically, they have a lot of requests for assistance, like amicus briefs and that kind of thing related to current court cases. There were none on the agenda for this meeting. There was discussion about PFAS issues and various legislative items that are moving their way through the process. There were certain things on that agenda with respect to those legislative items that the Legal Affairs Committee discussed. I think Charlotte may have also heard things with respect to the legislation while she was at Aqua. So I'm going to put my head together with Charlotte and we'll confer and make sure that what we're hearing from both of our sources is consistent. We'll bring that back to the board at a later time. And we have a closed session tonight at the end of the agenda.
Very good, thank you. Okay, board member reports on ancillary duties. So, starting Region 8. We tried at the Aqua Conference a new format, having 3 different sessions. Turned out to be 2 sessions of separate reportings from the designated reporters, so that the meeting actually was quite short. So a lot of people, I guess, were happy about that. And he also got to attend where their interests were instead of hearing all of the committee reports. And the only frustration I have is that I didn't get to hear any of them much. So anyway, and they had assessed survey results, and I'm sorry, there were 3 of them. I only wrote down 2 of them, and that was the members are interested in water supply reliability and infrastructure. I just kind of wonder how much, if that number 2 was the gray tsunami, but I'm not sure. And then on the in the future for Aqua Region 8, talking about August 21st, Women in Water at the Brook Country Club. Brookside Country
In
Club.
Pasadena.
In Pasadena.
You might know one of the panelists.
And one of the panelists just might be our general manager. And then on October 15th, Rock with the largest PFAS treatment plant. I guess that's one county.
That's a different region event?
Can't tell if it's, I don't have in my notes whether or not it's Aqua itself or if it's, yeah, the other region. But, came to our attention really. On the Aqua Joint Powers Insurance Authority, I want to begin with the, O&M and HRRM, risk assessment letter, which was, quite a great compliment to the team here at Calleguas. And, I did reply to that in basically it was a letter thanking both the Calleguas folks who moved to the high standards, lowering our BMOD for having a less.
You want me to give a little background on that, just because I don't know that all the board is aware.
Okay.
Generally, annually, Aqua JPIA sends out staff to tour our facilities and interact with our, Trisha, maybe you should do this, not me, but they send people out to talk to our HRRM staff and tour our facilities, and then they provide a brief report in letter form, which Director Quady gets to see. And that's what he's commenting on here, that it's, I mean, I can share it with the rest of the board if they like to see it. It was all very, very favorable.
Good. I also thank JPIA for their service providing resources for us as well. So, and then I guess one of the new things that came out during the meetings was that there seems to be a closer association with AGRIP, which is a association of governmental risk pools, and it really sounds like a great future association for JPIA. Grant, did you want to say something?
Well, I really appreciate, of course, Rob's shop helping us out immensely and getting everything neat and tidy, so it appeared as good as it really is. We also, we've requested a new rep for that review that's done annually, and it was not easy to get the change, but we got the change, and it really paid off. The new rep is terrific to work with, and we hope we have him for a long time. So it turned out really well.
It's great to hear. And then in your assessment of the insurance coverages, I just wanted to tick off the full program's highlights. I won't go to all the numbers, but for the liability program for GPIA, there's 347 members, and the liability is going to get 10% rate increase in 2023-24. They're saying a hardened market and increasing large losses are impacting pricing. Property program, 289 members, the 20% rate increase in 2023 and 24. Again, a hardened market, catastrophic events, including wildfire, and a few large losses continue to dominate pricing. Workers' comp is the darling of the set, 208 members, a flat rate renewal in 2023 to 24, 2-year rate guarantee for reinsurance, and rates have stayed flat or decreased over the past 10 years. So that's all I have for the JPIA.
And if I could add to that, I compared it to the California JPIA, which has a lot more members, and they do no more better than we do. So Aqua JPIA is doing a really fine job.
Good to hear. Good job. Thank you, Grant.
Sure.
The Association of Water Agencies, Ventura County rep.
Yeah, we had our board meeting back on the 2nd. We went over some of the symposiums. They went over the symposium and, the turnout, how great it all turned out. We also went over and started to look at the code of, Kelly asked us for everyone to sign a code of ethics and what was the other one called?
Conflict of interest.
And a conflict of interest. I saw some things there that caught my attention, so I sent them over to Walt to take a look at. And yeah, it was a pretty heated meeting. Not with me this time. Kevin McNamee from Thousand Oaks brought up some concerns, and basically he got the same response I have. Got shut down. So where we're at.
Okay, Fox Canyon.
We have not had a meeting, but I think there's one coming up. I just received the work packet in the mail today.
Okay. report. Richmond Water District.
Oh, excuse me. There's two reports in front of you for me. Disregard the one that's a one pager because the three pager here incorporates those since we didn't have a board meeting on the first. I've met on April the 23rd. I attended various committee meetings at MWD, the audit subcommittee, ethics, and the exec committee. April 29th, I chaired the ad hoc committee on Bay Delta. On the 20th, I attended an awards reception for honorees from AWA. Oh, that should be Aqua. I'll have to correct that and give you a clean sheet. That should be Aqua and AWA at Laguna Hills. And I kind of got hijacked at the Aqua conference. Pulled together a bunch of meetings specifically for members for the Bay Delta Ad Hoc Committee. And several of those occurred on May 7th. I attended the special briefings on the status of the DCP and Site Reservoir. And on the 8th, I attended the MOU signing between MWD, Friant, Westlands, and the MOU signing between MWD and the Blueprint Committee. Attended the MWD and Delta Stewardship Council lunch, the Aqua Panel on Leadership Crisis, and the Fellowship Latinos of Water Reception at the Sheraton Grand. And then on the 13th and 14th, I attended various committee meetings that met engineering ops, legislation, legal and claims, water and stewardship, finance, equity, ethics, and the board of directors. And then we had a special meeting that was called by the governor's office, DWR, and the state water board to talk to us about the DWP and, just to kind of see where MWD was at and its commitments to stay involved in the process. And one thing I wanted to note back on the engineering and ops and technology committee, it was very interesting. They brought a presentation on building infrastructure modeling. And I know they're just looking at it, but I was intrigued by the fact that he said that we have engineers that can't think 3D. I was like, oh my God, and they're looking at all these charts, but this enables them to look at 3D at infrastructure and manipulate it and turn it different ways and come up with better solutions. And I don't know if that's something that we might consider looking at or if it's even needed, but I just thought it was fascinating.
Yeah, a good segue to, I attended the member agency managers meeting that Met hosts every year. And PMI is going to be one of the topics that will be covered at one of these events in the near future.
Good.
Certainly interested. It would apply more for vertical construction where there are different trades and disciplines where we have HVAC, mechanical, electrical, and want to make sure that a water line and an electrical line are not being installed in the same location. So that's where this modeling really is helpful.
Okay, great. I look forward to hearing back from the report you get. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the LAFCO Commission.
Yes, had a meeting this morning. Like everything, inflation is hitting us everywhere. There's going to be a 6.8% increase from last year's budget. Mostly due to staff cost of living increase, taking the total budget from $974,242 to this new incoming budget of $1 million and $1,040,000. And we also the public seat for the LAFCO is going to be coming up for applications here in about 30 days, and I'm on the committee to review those applications, so that's coming up.
Good, thank you. On the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance, I have a meeting tomorrow, which I plan on attending. That's the Energy Champions meeting. This is just one of those opportunities where each of the members recite what's going on at their district, and the information I have is from the monthly status report and basically what's going on with advanced clean fleets and stuff. So. Ventura County Special Districts Association.
No meeting since last board meeting, and the next meeting is canceled. We'll reconvene August 6th.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
When you miss one and they're far and few between, then you kind of go a wide space.
Okay. Well, then Director Robert, you want to start the other reimbursable meetings?
Sure. So since the last board meeting, since we missed one, there was the AWA symposium, which was very engaging and interesting conversations that usually leave me with more questions than answers, but they are questions to ponder. 24th Metropolitan Subcommittee on Long-Term Regional Planning. And then the May 2nd AWA Board of Directors meeting where I witnessed the back and forth discussions that Director Avila prefaced. And the 6th through the 9th, the AWA conference, which was, again, how much information can you absorb in succession? And then tonight's board meeting.
Very good, thank you.
Since the CISO this month, and since the last board meeting, actually. Let's see, where is it? On the 23rd, I streamed the Met, where is it? Executive Committee, followed by the Met Subcommittee on Long-Term Planning Process and Business Modeling. On the 2nd was the AWA board meeting. On the 5th, flew out to JPIA. On the 6th, I started JPIA, stepped out for a call, and Jay Lewitt was outside, offered me a seat to go do a tour of Sites Reservoir. So since I'm alternate and Scott was already at JPIA, I jumped on the van and went with Las Virgenes and got a great tour of Sites Reservoir. And it's an interesting proposal. It's quite expensive. They have to build a massive bridge just to get some people from the other side of where they're building this reservoir over to, for kids to be able to go to school. It's a very historic location. They have much tons of work to do to get that place ready. And after that, started the Aqua JPIA conferences from the 7th through the 9th, and tonight's board meeting.
Okay, April 18th, I attended AWA's annual water symposium. April 19th, we attended the briefing with Assembly Member Jackie Irwin. 25th, I attended the agency's purveyors meeting. On the 26th, I attended CoLab's annual Spring Fling fundraiser. On May the 2nd, I attended strategic planning meeting for the Bay Delta Ad Hoc Committee with Calleguas Management. On the 3rd, I attended CSDA's Ledge Committee. On the 4th, I completed 2 online cybersecurity classes. On the 5th, I attended Aqua's Spring Conference in Sacramento. On the 10th, I attended a strategic planning meeting for the upcoming board and committee meetings at Met. And on the 15th, I attended a strategy meeting with management on a community leader briefing and tonight's board meeting.
Thank you. So on April 18th, I entered the AWA symposium. And on the 19th, with all of you, the Assemblywoman Irwin. And then I had non-reimbursable meetings, April 22nd, Jim, and April 25th, purveyor meeting, meetings 11 and 12. And then on May 1st, I attended a non-quorum meeting. And then on
I think it's a non-quorum, non-meeting.
non-meeting, non-quorum. And then April 5th through 9th, the Aqua JPI conference and tonight's board meeting. Okay, so do we have any upcoming meetings that people want to?
Could I just ask that we discuss briefly the June 5th board meeting? The 2 directors to my left here will not be able to participate in person.
On June 5th?
On June 5th, so I need to make sure all of the rest of you will be here. They have indicated they can participate remotely, but the Brown Act requires that we have a quorum in the room.
I will be here.
So we will need to confirm that with Director Waters, since he's not here tonight. We are planning to discuss the budget in detail at that meeting. That will be the focus.
Good.
All right, so we'll confirm the Director Waters will be able to attend, and then when we do the packet, we'll notify.
If he cannot, can we move it a day or something?
But it depends how long they're gone or what the limitations are here. So
Understood.
And I have a question for the board. If you're planning to go to the Waterwise tomorrow morning, I can still get you in. I haven't heard from any.
Oh, I've got a conflict.
No one?
I'll go, yeah.
You're gonna go?
I noticed that you put, I don't know how long you've been doing that, but there's a little asterisk next to
Mhm.
reservations required.
Correct.
So I appreciate that.
yeah, we've been on the board.
I'm now caught up on that and that's super helpful. I was looking at that and I went, you know what? I don't want to, but now that you mention it, yes, please.
The other thing on the upcoming meetings I'd like to highlight, just so no one comes to an empty room and is disappointed, Calleguas Purveyor meeting is at the Oxnard AWPF facility. So please don't come here. We won't be here. But it does mean that we have a really interesting program, including a tour of the facility. So
Very cool.
just make sure to go to the right place if you want to be there.
I did want to ask about that meeting, you know, it's such a value for board members to attend those meetings. We get so much out of it. I also understand that the purveyors don't want to be necessarily recorded. Therefore, you know, we don't do the Zoom anymore, but is there a way to, and I know we've had issues where we all show up and there's a forum and it doesn't work out very well. So is there a way to just record this meeting for board members so that we don't end up with a quorum, but we still get that great, I mean, we get so much knowledge and insight into what our purveyors are thinking, but I think it would be really valuable.
Let's discuss the implications. We'd need to talk to get IT's input on what's involved there, legal's input, because I think once that recording exists, anybody can have it.
Are you talking about recording or just Zoom attendance?
I think just recording for board members. But I mean,
What date is that?
The next one is it's next Thursday, the 23rd.
obviously that one might be challenging because, you know, it's
Certainly, if we choose to do anything like this, we will not have it pulled together by next Thursday, but let's talk about what's possible. I'm less concerned, as long as the board is in listening mode, which I think you are, when there's a quorum present, it's okay. So I wouldn't,
I won't be there because I have a event I have to go to.
Okay.
So
Yeah, but
hopefully that'll help.
I have to sit next to each other.
That raises another point. There is the event on Friday, correct? 17th?
Mhm.
How many board members are planning on attending that?
Just two.
Just two? Okay.
I've learned my lesson well. Thank you.
That avoids Brown Act concerns for me. I was gonna say, don't sit together, don't clump, don't talk.
Wear hoodie.
Other side of the room.
There's no room, we're outside.
Outside.
And on following up on Director Avila's,
Been promoted.
DIR. The purveyor meeting is one that I really enjoy going to, but due to its time, it's tricky for me to get out here and get back. So that's why I would be interested in being able to just listen.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily need it recorded, but just being able to stream that would be, or even just over the phone, just listen to what people have to say and all that. So if that's possible, I would be interested in that.
Okay, but we'll have some discussions about that internally and potentially with the purveyors. And see what makes sense.
I would never ask that for any other meeting. It's just that meeting it's great. Fantastic for us as board members.
Understood. We will talk about that and figure it out.
Copy.
Okay, future agenda items?
As I mentioned, budget at the next board meeting. And that risk presentation will probably be at the board meeting after that, depending on what else is on the agenda.
And then information items, written communication.
Yes, so there were a couple items in the packet. Some of them had to do with discontinuing providing landline service, which has been a hot CPUC issue that we have an interest in. Wes has an interest in due to the fact that some of our facilities are connected by landline because of where they are. And although there's been a lot of interest from a lot of quarters on that, and I think there may be some progress in that issue. And then there's a email from me providing comments to the camp task force at Med, and then per Director Avila's request, a letter from LAFCO to Met about the rates as a follow-up to the presentation that I gave last month.
Wonderful.
And then there's also a water supply conditions report.
So those, I guess we will close the open session now and
go next door.
Go next door to closed session.
Yeah, so we just need and
Just didn't want to run off.
Yeah. We will reconvene. We will reconvene the open session.
And I'll take care of the closed session report. The board voted 4-0 to reject the claim of Southern California Edison, which claim will be made available for review for the government.
So much. Nothing else. We are adjourned. Take care.